the thing about TCU, Joe, is that they're a bit of a Cinderella, right? We see this all the time in NCAA tournaments. A team that came out of nowhere to show up in the championship game. Usually the best teams come out and win the games, where the known blue bloods come out and win those games. But it's part of the excitement. Sonny Dykes turns a team. What'd they do last year? What were they last year?
5-7.
5-7. And they turn completely around and make this happen. With the upcoming college football playoff expansion, we're going to see more of these types of situations.
In the expanded 12-team field, yes.
But we still have, one more season of this?
One last hurrah of the 4-team playoff.
Is it possible that North Carolina, NC State, or Duke, and we'll throw Wake Forest into this mix too, is it possible for any of those teams to pull off what TCU just pulled off this year?
No, and it's not because of who the coaches are at those 4 schools. And it's not because they're in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because of anything other than this simple fact. You have to have access to Florida, Georgia, Texas, or California to really, really, really hit it big in college football. Texas Christian is in Texas. So fundamentally, yes, there are a lot of mouths to feed in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
But there's a better food supply.
Okay.
The state of North Carolina is such that you have those 4 teams I just mentioned, ECU, App State. Oh, and don't forget that Clemson comes in and gets whoever they want.
This is true.
Don't forget who's ever number 1, Georgia, Alabama comes in, Ohio State comes in, and Noah Rogers, they come in and get who they want. So there's not enough good players in the state of North Carolina, and there's too many schools chopping up the pie in the state of North Carolina in order for a team from the state of North Carolina to ever be in the BCS championship or a 4-team college football playoff championship. Now, full credit to TCU in what they did this year. Oklahoma was down. Texas was down. They took advantage of their opportunity. Just last year, Clemson was down. What did Carolina do? A preseason top 10 team.
Did not.
See, the opportunity was there.
Yes, it was.
Wake Forest, a team that actually won the Atlantic Division. The opportunity was there. NC State, a team that actually beat Clemson, beat North Carolina. The opportunity was there. That's where you start getting into coaching. That's where you start getting into, can you get past the biggest obstacles in your way? But fundamentally, recruiting and the talent base in the state of North Carolina is what holds back the schools in North Carolina.
App State had an opportunity this year, by the way. They had an
App
opportunity.
State actually had an opportunity to be 13-0 and sit there and be like, hey, what about us?
Yeah, they could have been the Cincinnati of this year's college football playoff, but they had one key missed opportunity in an overtime loss to North Carolina. And then, of course, all the goodwill that was built up in September from a loss that was basically treated like a win against North Carolina, with the Texas A&M win on the road, followed by the Troy Miracle. There was enough goodwill, there was enough good of a story behind App State that they could have worked themselves into the conversation, especially considering that North Carolina ended up winning the Coastal Division. That would have looked like a good loss for App State. It would have been a good story. That was a missed opportunity, but that's the fine line. So really, I have 2 answers for the question as it relates to, can a triangle team sneak their way into the college football playoff next year? There's 2 possible outcomes. One of them is Carolina straight up, right? I know that North Carolina is going through some changes. They've lost some key personnel on defense. The people would tell you that that's addition by subtraction in a lot of different ways. Fine, so be it. But for me, it's a simple equation. You got Drake May? All right, well, chances are with a Heisman Trophy level quarterback, a coach that everybody likes in Mac Brown, and you've got the right color on, Carolina usually gets the benefit of the doubt when it comes to national media, you can work the narrative into sneaking your way into the college football playoff if you take care of your advantage. NC State can't do that. Duke clearly can't do that. There's one other chance, though. Is it too late for NC State to join the Pac-12?
Yeah, that's the real key here. It's getting out of some of these games, too.
If to have more TCUs before the expansion, you need to be in the right conference. The ACC, for all the crap that people want to talk about the ACC, they still have really good power teams that makes it difficult for somebody to jump over. I almost choked on my water when you said Texas was down. When isn't Texas down, Joe? You know what I mean? Like, in the ACC, that would be the equivalent of Florida State. Like, Florida State's been down, but you know who stepped up? Well, yeah, Clemson. That's where the Oklahoma point comes into play. Nobody took advantage. TCU took advantage of Oklahoma being down. So that's the only other option. Can State leave for the Big 12 now that Texas and Oklahoma are leaving for the SEC? Because that's their best chance now, right? Get out. Of course, we know that's not how it's going to work out.